Alright you guys, this is part 7 of that crupi chainring restoration video. So this item turned into a sacrificial item. I had some spots on here and I'd pointed them out earlier, how much of a problem they were going to be. And you can see they're really noticeable now that I've gotten down to 1,000 grit. I mean, I had to really hammer on this thing to get those spots out of there. I didn't really touch the back on it because it was so much. So I started to cut down deep into these logos, almost to the point where I'm not going to take it down to 3,000 grit. I'm actually just going to leave it at 1,000. I'm going to buff it out, show you what I did on the back side. I got this one. So the back side's hammered out. It's nice, it's polished. That'll do the trick. That's what we're going for, but there's still some tiny little spots that I just couldn't get out of the disc itself. Those, you can see those are what I was talking about in the other video. If you haven't been watching, you should check it out. So I'm going to go ahead and buff this side of the disc out now, and then if you watch the other videos from before, you know how I mentioned we're going to remove all the buffer compound that's in those little cracks, all the buffer compound that's like right there on in the teeth grooves, right? All that's got to come out, especially in there. And you know, obviously, like I said, here abrasiveness doesn't really matter, but on this side, once it's polished, you can't be abrasive anymore. So even if you scrub it with a rag, it will still scratch the disc. So from this point on, it has to be soaked in a chemical, which is our stripper solution, or our degreaser, and then the degreaser will actually remove that, since we will no longer be scrubbing it. So like, here's a microfiber blanket, you know, the really soft baby ones. Like a 5x5 freaking square is like 10 bucks at the auto parts store. You can get a whole king size blanket for like 15 bucks on Amazon, and you get the super microfibery soft stuff, so you won't scratch it when you're polishing after your buff. I just use an old buff rub. I've been using this thing for 5 years, man. It's so tough, it's bad. See that big wheel? That's the trick to the key. All that is felt. It's 2 inches wide and it's an 8-inch wheel. It's the same exact thing as those little those little felt pads are made out of, right? It helps you skip all the processes. It helps you skip all the BS. If you watch other people when they do prep work, they wet sand, right? And they have those floppy discs that spin around and the shit slops all over. You can avoid all that steps if you just do the things that I did and like don't leave anything out, because the prices of stuff is so much nowadays that if you were to go buy 4 different kinds of buffing pads and then the wet sandpaper and then $10 for a fucking blanket that's 5x5, you know what I mean? Like that costs to add up. Great, you can do it, but the first time you make a mistake learning, you have to go all the way back to step 1. Remember, I'm 3 or 4 steps into this. These teeth are anodized already, right? The color, you see the difference? The teeth are already anodized, and I've sanded it, and I've gone through $15 worth of sandpaper already. So if you make a mistake and you have to go backwards, you're going to wish that you had a cheaper way to process parts rather than just going out and paying full price for little squares of microfiber blanket. You got to find a way to cut cost. You might be able to handle a few losses while you're doing this. You know, you take a couple losses, oh well. But what happens if you do a part where you go out and spend $400 on a stem and you're going to make it into an $800 stem, and then you ruin the whole stem? You know what I mean? Like, those kind of losses can sink your ship. So you have to find ways that you can save money on the average daily job. That way you can absorb a loss, because they will happen. This disc right here, this would have been a loss. This thing's junk. It's not going to turn out nearly what I wanted it to turn out. And I mentioned it in the very beginning of the video. I said it's got these little speckles all over it, and I was like, and those are going to cause me a huge problem. Sure enough, now I got a big problem. I can't get rid of them. I actually have to do this disc green because I'm getting ready to do a customer order, and the color is green, so I'm firing up my system is why I'm doing this. I need to make sure that my green is good. So I have to make this disc green. It's going to look absolutely terrible. All those little pop pieces are going to show through. Those are those little spots I was talking about. They're not scratches. They're like a cancer in the disc that goes down into the metal. So the first layer of anodizing has filled in the little grooves, the little dips, and I've sanded them out and polished them, but in those little grooves, it's still going to act the same as the recessed teeth. If you remember from the other videos, I've explained this. So there will, in fact, be little speckles all over the disc where all those little spots were, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's a cancer in the actual metal. Like it's like some kind of internal rust. Anyway, so I have to do the disc green now, though, which is the one color besides gold that you shouldn't do because it shows up really good, the imperfections. But I have to do the disc green now, so that is what it is. So you'll be able to see all those imperfections that I'm talking about now. I'm going to go ahead and get this thing buffed out the rest of the way. Thanks for listening to my blab on. I might have to make a part 8 on this video because I don't have the ability to stop my phone. So you're going to have to log on for part 8. And on that part, we'll degrease the disc and then drop it into anodize and put some green on it. All right, hopefully you'll tune back in.